The planet Xylos orbited a binary sun, casting long violet shadows across its crystalline plains. Towering structures of shimmering quartz dotted the landscape, homes to the Kryll, a species of sentient, bioluminescent crustaceans. Their bodies, encased in intricately carved exoskeletons, pulsed with a soft ethereal light, their clicking mandibles the primary mode of communication. Kryll society was governed by the Great Algorithm, a complex system of logic and tradition that dictated every aspect of their lives. Deviation was problematic. A lone spacecraft, battered and patched, pierced Xylos' atmosphere. It was registered as a Type 7E exploration vessel, human-made. It wobbled unsteadily as it approached landing zone Gamma, reserved for, well, no one really. No one ever visited Xylos. Not intentionally anyway. From the vessel emerged a single figure, a human male clad in a slightly too small jumpsuit. He squinted at the intense violet sunlight, scratched his head and mumbled, "Well, this is a fine how do you do." This was Dave. Dave's arrival caused a system-wide ripple within the Great Algorithm. The Kryll, normally stoic and unblinking, paused in their designated tasks. Construction drones hovered mid-air, their multifaceted optical sensors twitching. The High Council, assembled in their quartz citadel, emitted a collective, low-frequency hum of confusion. Overseer Zorgon, a Kryll of significant standing due to the elaborate carvings on his carapace, was the first to approach. His bioluminescence intensified, a sign of, well, something akin to stress in humans. "Greetings, extraterrestrial entity." Zorgon clicked, his mandibles moving with practiced precision. "You are in violation of Intergalactic Protocol 7.3, subsection C, regarding unscheduled planetary landings. State your purpose." Dave blinked. Hi. Name's Dave. And, purpose? My GPS took a scenic detour. Real scenic. Thought I was headed to Sector Gamma for a trade convention, but apparently I made a wrong turn somewhere near Alpha Centauri." He shrugged, a gesture that the Great Algorithm flagged as undefined. Potential threat? Zorgon tilted his head, a movement that resembled a subtle cracking sound. "Trade convention? Sector Gamma is designated for mineral extraction. There are no conventions." "Mineral extraction is my convention," Dave replied, grinning. "I sell novelty rocks, pet rocks, glow-in-the-dark rocks, rocks that look like famous historical figures. Big hit back on Earth." The Kryll High Council's humming intensified. Novelty rocks? Historical figures? The Great Algorithm strained, its processors overheating. This Dave presented a significant anomaly. "Your rocks. They serve no logical purpose," Zorgon stated, his bioluminescence flickering. "Well," Dave said, pulling a small, crudely painted rock from his pocket, "that's where you're wrong. This one's Abraham Lincoln, guaranteed to increase philosophical contemplation by at least 17%. He held it out to Zorgon. "Want to buy it?" "I'll give you the introductory rate." Zorgon recoiled slightly. The Great Algorithm was now issuing a code orange. Unpredictable variable detected. Proceed with extreme caution. Initiate cultural assessment protocol. Xylos, it seemed, was about to get a whole lot rockier and a whole lot more confused. Dave, oblivious to the code orange, continued to unpack his wares. He set up a small foldable table displaying his collection of historical and themed rocks. "Got your George Washington, your Elvis Presley? Oh, and this one's a limited edition sparkly rock I call Disco Fever." The Kryll watched from a safe distance, their bioluminescence dimming and brightening in a disconcerting rhythmic pulse. Zorgon, under direct orders from the High Council, was tasked with understanding Dave's cultural significance. He approached cautiously, accompanied by two heavily armored Kryll guards. "Human Dave," he clicked, "we require a demonstration of these rock's utility." Dave grinned, sensing a potential sale. "All right, check this out. This here is my anxiety stone." He held up a smooth gray rock. You hold it when you're stressed and, well, it doesn't do anything, but people say it helps. Placebo effect, you know? Zorgon examined the rock with his multifaceted eyes. The algorithm reported, no discernible function, composition basalt, estimated market value negligible. He turned to Dave, his bioluminescence flickering rapidly. This placebo effect. Explain. Dave shrugged. It's like you think it works, so it does, mind over matter. Like if you believe hard enough that this rock will solve all your problems, it probably won't, but you might feel a little better anyway. The Kryll guards exchanged confused clicks. One of them reached out a clawed appendage and tentatively touched the anxiety stone. The algorithm immediately registered a surge in the guard's bioluminescent output. Error, system malfunction, inaccurate data. Zorgon, increasingly perplexed, decided to shift his approach. Human Dave, Kryll society functions on logic and efficiency. Every action must have a quantifiable purpose. Your rocks defy this principle. Dave chuckled. Well, yeah, I guess they do, but sometimes it's nice to have something that doesn't have a purpose, you know? Something just for fun. Lighten up a little. He winked, an action that the algorithm interpreted as erratic facial twitch, probable neurological disorder. That evening, Dave attempted to integrate further into Kryll society. He joined them for their mandatory nutrient-paste consumption in the communal mess hall. The Kryll ate in silence, their mandibles mechanically grinding the gray, flavorless substance. Dave, however, pulled a small bottle of hot sauce from his jumpsuit pocket. All right, who's ready to spice things up? He announced, liberally dousing his nutrient paste with the bright red liquid. The silence was broken only by the sound of sputtering clicks as the Kryll recoiled in horror. The algorithm registered a new code. Scarlet liquid detected, potential biohazard, threat level elevated. Zorgon rushed forward. Human Dave, what is that concoction? Dave took a bite, savoring the flavor. Hot sauce, made from chili peppers, adds a little zest to life. He offered the bottle to Zorgon. Want to try some? It'll blow your carapace off. Zorgon stared at the bottle, his bioluminescence dimming to near extinction. The concept of adding zest to sustenance was utterly alien to him. He tentatively extended a claw and dabbed a minuscule amount of the hot sauce onto his mandible. The effect was instantaneous. Zorgon's carapace began to glow a blinding white. He emitted a high-pitched shriek and began to frantically fan his mandibles. The algorithm registered sensory overload, system failure, existence, unpleasant. Dave watched with amusement. Whoa, strong stuff, huh? Told you it would blow your carapace off. The Kryll, now in a state of utter chaos, began to murmur amongst themselves. The human, he defies the algorithm. He embraces illogicality. He enjoys spice. The whispers grew louder, fueled by a growing sense of unease and perhaps a hint of curiosity. As the Kryll struggled to comprehend Dave's strange and unpredictable behavior, a seed of doubt began to take root within their rigid society. The algorithm, once the unquestioned foundation of their existence, was beginning to show cracks. And it all started with a human, some rocks, and a bottle of hot sauce. The next day, Dave decided to help the Kryll improve their workspace. He'd noticed their central control room, a vast chamber filled with humming consoles and blinking lights, was, well, drab. Needs a little pizzazz, he'd muttered. So he acquired a large roll of brightly colored, patterned duct tape, another item from his seemingly bottomless jumpsuit, and set to work. He began by adding racing stripes to the consoles, explaining to a bewildered Zorgon that it would make the data flow faster. Then, he affixed a series of glittery star stickers to the walls, proclaiming them morale boosters. He even attempted to hang a disco ball from the ceiling. But the Kryll security systems, interpreting it as a rogue object, promptly zapped it into a pile of smoking plastic. Zorgon watched this spectacle with growing despair. The algorithm, was throwing errors left and right, unable to categorize or quantify Dave's actions. The control room, once a paragon of Kryll efficiency, now resembled a human child's fever dream. He attempted to intervene. "Human Dave, this decoration is not conducive to optimal cognitive processing." Dave paused, a strip of duct tape dangling from his mouth. "Relax, Zorgon, it's just a little fun. Gotta break up the monotony, you know? Besides," he added with a wink, "happy workers are productive workers." The algorithm translated this as illogical correlation detected, happiness, subjective state, productivity, quantifiable output, no causative link established. Zorgon felt a headache, or the Kryll equivalent thereof, coming on. It was around this time that Dave took an interest in the Kryll's primary weapon, the disintegrator ray. It was a massive, complex device housed in a heavily guarded chamber, capable of vaporizing entire asteroids with a single blast. The Kryll treated it with the utmost reverence, performing elaborate rituals and chanting complex equations before each use. Dave, however, saw something different. "So this thing, it makes things disappear, right?" he asked a nervous-looking Kryll technician. The technician, sweating what appeared to be recycled coolant fluid, confirmed this with a series of rapid clicks. Dave circled the disintegrator ray, tapping its casing with a wrench he'd somehow acquired. Seems kinda complicated. Bet I could soup it up a little." The technician emitted a high-pitched squeal. "Soup it up? But it is the disintegrator ray, the pinnacle of Kryll engineering." Dave shrugged. "Yeah, well, everything can be improved. You guys ever thought about adding, a cup holder? Or maybe a little mood lighting?" The Kryll technician fainted. Undeterred, Dave began to tinker. He rummaged through his jumpsuit, pulling out a handful of wires, a rubber ducky, and a device that looked suspiciously like a modified toaster. He started splicing, soldering, and generally messing around with the disintegrator ray's intricate circuitry. Alarms blared, lights flashed, and the entire chamber filled with the acrid smell of burning metal. Zorgon arrived on the scene, his bioluminescence pulsing erratically. "Human Dave, what are you doing? You are tampering with the disintegrator ray. This is a Code Red violation. I repeat, this is a Code Red violation. Cease your actions immediately." Dave looked up, covered in grease and soot. "Almost got it, just need to... There." He triumphantly connected a final wire. The disintegrator ray shuddered, whirred, and then began to play a jaunty polka tune. Zorgon stared in disbelief. The disintegrator ray, the most fearsome weapon in the Kryll arsenal, was now a giant disco ball-esque music box. The algorithm crashed completely. The Kryll guards, unsure of how to respond, began to tap their claws in time with the music. Even Zorgon felt a strange, unfamiliar sensation. Could it be amusement? Dave grinned. "There you go. Now it's not just a weapon of destruction, it's a source of entertainment, multi-purpose, efficiency." He winked, leaving Zorgon, utterly speechless, the polka music echoing in the once silent chamber. The music, however, was short-lived. The polka sputtered, died, and the disintegrator ray began emitting a series of strange gurgling noises. A low, rumbling vibration shook the chamber. Zorgon, recovering from his brief moment of levity, felt a surge of dread. "Human Dave," he stammered. What have you done?" Dave, still tinkering with the device, shrugged. "Relax, it's just calibrating. You know, finding the right frequency." He tapped a few more wires and the gurgling intensified. Suddenly a thick, frothy substance began to ooze from the disintegrator ray's nozzle. It smelled faintly of hops and pretzels. The Kryll guards recoiled in horror. "What is this? This effluvium?" one of them croaked, his chitinous plating shimmering with disgust. Dave beamed. "Beer. I turned your disintegrator ray into a beer dispenser." He grabbed a conveniently placed stein, where did he even get that, and filled it with the frothy liquid. "Bottoms up." Zorgon was beyond speechless. The algorithm was now displaying a single, repeating error message. Incomprehensible, incomprehensible, incomprehensible. He watched, aghast, as Dave took a long swig of the beer, smacked his lips, and offered the stein to a nearby Kryll guard. "Come on, don't be shy. It's a little hoppy, but it'll grow on you." The guard, after a moment of hesitation, tentatively took a sip. His eyes widened. He took another longer swig. A strange expression, was it enjoyment, spread across his face. Soon the other guards were clamoring for a taste. The disintegrator ray, once a symbol of Kryll power, was now the centerpiece of an impromptu beer party. Zorgon, however, remained unconvinced. "Human Dave," he said, his voice trembling with a mixture of anger and confusion. This is an outrage. You have desecrated a sacred weapon. You have turned it into a beverage dispenser. This is an act of cultural vandalism." Dave chuckled. "Relax, Zorgon. It's just beer. Besides," he added with a wink, "isn't it better to make beer than to make war?" The algorithm struggled to process this statement. Alternative solution proposed: beverage production versus armed conflict. Potential benefits of beverage production: increased societal harmony, reduced casualties. Conclusion: logically sound but emotionally confusing. It was then that Dave decided to unveil the full extent of his modifications. He pulled a small remote control from his jumpsuit and pressed a button. The disintegrator ray, still gurgling and dispensing beer, began to project a series of holographic images onto the chamber walls. The images were unsettling. They depicted scenes of Kryll society, but with a twist. Kryll warriors were shown playing volleyball on a beach. Kryll scientists were shown laughing over laboratory experiments, and Kryll bureaucrats were shown dancing the Macarena. The Kryll guards gasped. Zorgon felt his bioluminescence dim. The algorithm issued a new error message. Existential paradox detected. Reality unraveling. What is the meaning of this?" Zorgon demanded, his voice barely a whisper. Dave grinned. "I reprogrammed the disintegrator ray's projection matrix. Now it shows you what you could be instead of what you are." He paused for effect. "It's what do you call it? A glimpse of a future that's a little more fun." The Kryll stared at the holographic projections, a mixture of horror and fascination etched on their chitinous faces. The sight of their stoic brethren engaging in frivolous activities was deeply disturbing, a violation of everything they held sacred. Zorgon felt his carefully constructed worldview crumbling around him. The algorithm, overwhelmed by the sheer absurdity of it all, finally shut down completely, its screens going blank. "Fun?" Zorgon croaked, the word foreign and distasteful on his tongue. "What is this fun you speak of?" Dave shrugged, taking another swig of beer. "It's, enjoying yourself, relaxing, not taking everything so seriously." He gestured to the holographic Kryll dancing the Macarena. "Like that, see? They're having a blast." The Kryll guards exchanged uneasy glances. The concept of fun was antithetical to their militaristic society, a sign of weakness and inefficiency. Yet there was something undeniably appealing about the images, a sense of liberation and joy that resonated deep within their chitinous hearts. But that's not the Kryll way," one of the guards stammered. "We are warriors. We are conquerors. We do not dance?" "Why not?" Dave countered, raising an eyebrow. "Is it written in the Kryll constitution that you can't have a little fun every now and then? Besides," he added with a mischievous grin, "dancing is good exercise, keeps you fit for battle." Zorgon, desperate to regain control of the situation, stepped forward. "Human Dave, you have gone too far. You have corrupted our technology, undermined our culture, and introduced us to the concept of fun. This cannot stand. I order you to cease this revelry at once." Dave sighed. All right, chill out, I get it, you guys aren't ready for the Macarena." He turned to the disintegrator ray and began tinkering with the controls again. "I'll just switch it back to—" "Oh wait," He paused, a look of mock horror on his face. I seem to have accidentally deleted the original programming. Whoops. Zorgon's bioluminescence flickered erratically. You did what? Relax, Dave said with a wave of his hand. It's not a big deal. I just need to, recalibrate the existential matrix. He fiddled with the wires for a few more minutes, then stepped back grinning. There, all fixed. The disintegrator. Ray whirred to life and the holographic projections changed, but instead of images of warfare and conquest, the chamber was now filled with kittens. Fluffy, adorable kittens, tumbling over each other, purring contentedly, and batting at balls of yarn. The Kryll guard stared in stunned silence. Even Zorgon couldn't help but crack a smile. The sheer absurdity of the situation was too much to bear. The mighty Kryll Empire, brought to its knees by kittens. Kittens? Zorgon whispered, a hint of amusement in his voice. You turned our disintegrator ray into a kitten projector? Dave shrugged. Hey, kittens are cute. Everyone loves kittens. Besides, he added with a wink, who can wage war when there are kittens to cuddle? The algorithm, miraculously rebooting, itself issued a new directive. New strategic imperative, kitten-based diplomacy. Probability of intergalactic peace increased by 78%. Zorgon looked at the Kryll guards, then back at the kittens, then back at Dave. A slow smile spread across his face. He couldn't deny it. The human had a point. Maybe, just maybe there was, more to life than conquest and domination. Maybe, just maybe a little bit of fun wouldn't be so bad. He took another hesitant sip of the beer, then another, longer swig. The hoppy flavor was growing on him. He chuckled. Human Dave, he said, you are a menace. But, perhaps a necessary one. He raised his stein in a toast. To kittens, beer, and a slightly less terrifying future. The Kryll guards, still mesmerized by the kittens, hesitantly raised their own steins. To kittens, they echoed, a hint of hope in their voices. Dave grinned. Bottoms up. The beer flowed, the kittens frolicked, and for the first time in centuries the Kryll Empire experienced something truly alien. Joy. The Kryll Empire never quite recovered. Oh, they still conquered planets, and their military remained a force to be reckoned with, but things were different. Subtly, almost imperceptibly. For one, kitten posters started appearing in Kryll barracks, strategically placed near motivational war slogans. Disciplinary hearings were frequently interrupted by spontaneous outbreaks of the Macarena. And most shockingly, beer consumption skyrocketed. Kryll warriors, fueled by the potent beverage Dave introduced, began to question the point of galactic domination when there were so many delightful breweries yet to be explored. Dave, meanwhile, hitched a ride on a passing freighter, leaving behind a galaxy slightly less terrifying and significantly more confused. As he sipped a newly acquired alien beverage that tasted suspiciously like bubble gum, he couldn't help but chuckle. They'll be all right, he muttered to himself. A little chaos never hurt anyone. Besides, he added with a wink, they've still got those kittens. Somewhere, deep in the Kryll homeworld, the algorithm was undergoing a massive overhaul. Its new primary function? Finding the perfect beer pairing for every strategic invasion. The probability of success? Uncertain. The probability of a good time? Significantly increased. The human was silent, until he spoke a truth they couldn't bear. And that truth, it turned out, was best served with a cold one.